To begin clicker training, you will need a clicker. One that has a wrist strap so you can have your hands free when it's not in use. Press the clicker and release it once during the moment of desired behaviour. You'll also need a bum bag full of yummy treats. I like to use a bum bag that has a zip so the treats don't bounce out while I'm riding. The treats you use will depend on what your horse likes. It will also depend on their dietary needs and their level of motivation or enthusiasm. Some of the things you could use as treats include lucerne hay, chaff, pellets, small pieces of carrots or apple, or even small pieces of licorice. I like to use a healthy treat such as pellets or carrots as my main reinforcer, but if the horse does something really good, you can give them a jackpot such as a small piece of licorice. Each horse will have their own preferences, and you should try out different treats to find out what your horse likes. For example, your horse might not like carrots, so you could try out different grains such as barley or oats, or different types and brands of pellets. I like to use the Calm Performer pellets from Barrastock. Most horses really like them. They're a convenient size to use as treats, and they don't require any preparation or chopping up like carrots do. If your horse seems fussy or is not overly enthusiastic at first, you could try using high value rewards such as pellets, grain or carrots. Keep trying things until you find something your horse really wants. With these types of horses, it will help to do the training at a time when the horse is more motivated by food, like before you feed them their dinner. You should also keep the session short, 5 to 10 minutes, and if possible several times a day. You'll find that the horse will become more enthusiastic with each training session. If your horse has already learned bad habits around food, or becomes overexcited, bites or pushes on you in a dangerous way, then you should definitely begin your training with a barrier between you and your horse, such as a fence, a stable door or a gate. This will help keep you safe while you teach the horse some manners around the food. For horses that are pushy or aggressive with food, it can also help to do the training at a time when the horse is less hungry, such as after they have just had their feed. You could also try starting with lower value rewards that are safer and easier to feed, such as big handfuls of hay or loosened chaff. You could also feed the horse from a feed pan like this one in the beginning. As the horse learns to be polite around food and to take treats gently, you can then begin to feed them from your hand and use higher value treats. When you give your horse a treat, just give them a really small amount. 1 or 2 low GI cubes, a few pellets, a small slice of carrot or apple. Just enough to keep your horse really wanting the food, but not so much that they take too long to chew. When you're feeding the horse, be careful not to have any fingers sticking out or to have them scrunched up. Have your hand flat and your fingers together. This way the horse won't bite you by accident. Another important safety tip when feeding your horse treats is to never feed the horse right in next to the bum bag or the treat pouch. Always feed the horse with your arm fully extended out away from your body, so the horse never gets into the habit of nosing at the bag or sniffing you or nudging you or grabbing you to try and get treats. By feeding with your arm out away from your body, you encourage good, safe behaviour. Since we're going to be feeding our horse out of our hand, the first thing I like to teach the horse is to move away from our hand when it's got food in it. So to do this, you just stand with the horse on one side of the fence and you on the other side of the fence, and have some food in your hand, hold it out towards the horse, and the horse will sniff at your hand and may nibble at it or try to nudge the food out of your hand. Just wait until you see the horse move away from your hand, even slightly, and in that moment, click and then open your hand and give the horse a treat. So we'll try to imagine that we're taking a photo of the moment when the horse moves its head away from our hand. Keep repeating this until the horse will consistently hold its nose away from your hand even when you've got food in your hand. Whatever behaviour we click and reinforce, we're going to get more of. So building on the idea that I want the horse to be polite around food and to stand quietly out of my space, the next thing I like to teach the horse is to turn their head away from me to earn a click and a treat. To do this, I like to have a barrier between me and the horse. It just helps to keep me safe while the horse is learning the rules around the food. In the beginning, just stand with the horse on one side of the fence and you on the other side of the fence, and wait for them to turn their head even slightly away from you. As soon as you see them moving their head away from you, click to mark that behaviour and then hand the horse a treat. Keep repeating this until the horse is turning its head away from you on purpose. Once the horse starts getting the idea, you can wait for them to turn their head a little further away to earn the click and the treat. If the horse sniffs you or sniffs the bag or pushes on you, just stand out of their space or turn your body away from them, and then when the horse does eventually turn its head away from you, click and then hand them a treat. This teaches the horse that pushing on you and sniffing you doesn't earn any treats, but standing quietly out of your space earns a click and a reward. Practice this many times on both sides of the horse. The first time you change sides, the horse is probably going to think it's about turning in one direction. They won't know that it's about moving away from you. So just be patient and wait for the horse to move its head away in the opposite direction. Eventually we don't need the horse to turn its head a really long way away from us. It's more just about teaching the horse to move away from us rather than to push onto us to get the food reward. If your horse stays out of your space, click and reward again, so you don't have to wait for the horse to come back towards you. If they stay over there, click and then hand them another treat. Keep practicing this on both sides until the horse is not sniffing and pushing on the bag, but instead they're just standing quietly away from you. Now we will teach the horse that the food comes to their mouth, they don't go to the food. So to do that, we wait for the horse to look away, and then when they do look away, we click, and they'll immediately come back towards us to get the food. But instead of giving them the food, we just wait for them to look away again, and then we quickly take the food to their mouth. With a few repetitions, they'll start to hold their head away and wait for that food to come to their mouth. If the horse keeps its head turned away from you, click and then quickly take the food to their mouth. So now instead of pushing on me to get at the food and sniffing at the bum bag, the horse is waiting with its head turned to the side, hoping I will click and take a treat to them. Here's another example of teaching a horse to hold its head away after the click. So we go look away, click, and the horse comes back, and then we go look away and then give the horse a treat. So look away, click. This time the horse hardly came back at all, and then we give the horse a treat. And pretty soon we can click the horse for having its head away, and then it keeps its head away and waits for the treat. One of the common problems that I see with people that have taught their horse to look away is the horse ends up like a big yo-yo where they're looking away and then turning back, looking away and then turning back. So to overcome this, I like to teach the horse to look away for a longer duration. And to do this, we just start with the tiniest amount of time. So like maybe 1 second. Can they just hold their head away for 1 second? And if they can, I'll click and then take them a treat. And once they can do that consistently, I'll build up to 2 seconds of holding their head away to earn the click and the treat. A good method to use is to count down. So you could say 3, 2, 1 and then click and then give them a treat. The horse doesn't have to be perfectly still, as long as they're trying to hold their head away from you. And if the horse turns back towards you, start counting again. So if they turn towards you, then okay, we don't count that, we start again. We go 3, 2, 1 and then click and then the treat. Even though I had sprayed fly spray on this mare, there was a lot of flies around on this day, so it was a bit of a distraction, and she wasn't holding perfectly still with her whole body. But you can see, even though there's moments where she's a bit distracted and getting the flies, we were getting also some repetitions where she's holding her head away like a statue quite nicely. Stay at each stage until the horse is reliable and consistent at that stage. When the horse looked at something like that, I don't mind at all, you know, at least she's not turning back towards me. If she's holding her head away and looking at something, that's fine, you know, as long as she's not pushing on me, sniffing me, or getting in my space. With repetition you can build up how long the horse has to hold its head away for. We want the horse to be successful, so if you've made it too difficult too quickly, you'll find that the horse will get frustrated. So try to keep the horse successful and start with a very small amount of time. When you start on the other side, imagine it's a completely new behaviour, so shape it again from the beginning, you know, starting with 1 second, repeating that until you can build it up to 2 seconds and then 3 seconds, etc. So we don't actually need the horse to turn a long way away from us. It's more about just teaching the horse to stand out of our space without swinging back towards us all the time. This helps to teach the horse some patience and some self-control, and I find it makes a big difference with people with their clicker training, because then they don't feel in so much of a rush to keep clicking the horse. You know, once the horse has learned to stand quietly for a duration, people tend to relax as well, and that helps horses because horses pick up on that. The next step is to retrain these behaviours without the fence or the barrier between you and the horse. Go back to the beginning and reshape the behaviour just the same way that you did the first time. So reward the slightest try and then build on it. And you'll find that you'll have a horse that's really safe, calm and polite around the food rewards. Anyway, thanks for watching, and now we're moving on to the next step.